Hello, ghosties. You're listening to Not My Ghost.
Not my problem. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Jen.
Whether you're a skeptic, a true believer, or somewhere in between, join us for a journey into the unknown.
Because remember, when it comes to the paranormal, it may not be our problem.
But it's certainly someone's problem. Well, I got a bottle of wine and a new therapist.
Yay! We love both of those things.
We do. So I'm really happy right now because 1, wine.
Wine, of course.
2, good therapist.
Awesome. We love.
I'm excited. Cannot wait to work with her more. I was very impressed with our first meeting.
Awesome.
I also got something that is relevant to today's episode, but I'll wait.
Oh, okay.
Well, I already told you.
Well, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
That's fine. I also got 2 new things that are relevant to today's episode.
Gee, I wonder if they can figure out what we're talking about.
If they've looked at the episode title, I think they can.
Welcome to our scripted, unscripted banter.
Yes, welcome. And happy New Year's.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, this comes out on New Year's Eve. So hopefully everyone had a wonderful holiday and has fun plans for tonight.
Tonight, on New Year's Eve tonight, not tonight, will be in Gettysburg at the Cashtown Inn.
Fun. I'm jealous. I don't have plans yet, but I'm hoping I'll do something with my local friends.
Yeah, we will have 2 days at Cashtown Inn, and then we are going back to the Farnsworth and staying in the Sarah Black room, which is the most haunted room.
Yay!
At the Farnsworth. So that's where I am tonight, or today, or tomorrow, or the next day. If you're listening to this on December 31st, January 1st, or January 2nd, or 3rd.
I do just want to put a disclaimer out right now that if anything in today's episode sounds a little off, it is because Kelly's network is struggling. And usually when we record and this happens, the recording saves just fine, which is why we're trying it. But I can't always hear everything she says. So,
and I know when that's happening because I can see the look on her face and the way she just goes,
She said something. I don't know what it was.
Like right now.
I'll learn when I go back to edit the episode. I'll be like, oh, that's what she said.
Well, I could say some mean things, but I won't because I love you.
Don't be mean. I mean, we're always mean to each other, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have something a little bit different for today's scripted, unscripted banter. I don't have a question for you.
Oh, okay. Well, then I don't have to think on my feet. So I like
it. You don't. Instead of asking you a question, I asked ChatGPT a question because it kind of themes with today's episode.
Okay.
So I asked it, based on everything you know about the two of us, meaning me and Kelly, and our dynamic with the podcast, if you had to pick a tarot card to represent each of us, which card would it be? Now, I did limit it to major arcana cards just because those more so represent people rather than suits, and you'll learn more about that if you continue to listen to this episode.
Awesome, because I have no idea.
Perfect. For me, it picked the High Priestess. And yes, part of that is absolutely probably because I'm a witch. But it also said it is more about how I move through the world, that I notice patterns, that I sit with questions and look for emotional, psychological, and symbolic meaning beneath the surface. That quiet observant, intuitive energy is exactly what the high priestess represents.
I agree with everything that you said except for that quiet part. The quiet part,
I mean,
I don't
that's
agree with.
fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
I'm not a quiet person.
yeah.
Yeah. For Kelly, ChatGPT gave me the magician. And honestly, I thought that made a lot of sense. The magician is the connector of ideas. So Kelly pulls from logic, humor, instinct, and creativity and somehow turns it into something that works. She doesn't shy away from the unknown. She leans into it, questions it, and helps make it make sense. That balance between the mystical and the practical is pure magician energy. So basically, we're the high priestess and the magician, and that feels very on brand to me.
Okay. I know very little about tarot to know, so I will trust your opinion on it being on brand.
Yes. I'll be honest, the first one that it gave me for you, Kelly, was The Fool. And it had a really good explanation that was not insulting at all. And I wish I would have saved it, but I just felt that that might feel too mean just because of the thoughts that people have around the card named The Fool.
I would have thought it was hilarious, and I wish you would have went with that.
Damn it. Okay, good to
Yeah,
know.
yeah, because if I can laugh at anything, I definitely can laugh at myself.
That is true. I don't know why I thought for a moment that you wouldn't, but I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of judgment around the fool if you don't know tarot.
Oh, well, I don't really give a shit about other people's judgments of me, so
Very fair. Okay, you ready to get into it?
I am.
So today we're doing something just a little different and a little magical. With a new year right around the corner, we're stepping into the world of tarot, where history, symbolism, and intuition meet. Even if you've never touched a tarot deck in your life, don't worry. We're breaking down where tarot actually came from, what it really means, and how it's used today, without the Hollywood drama or the fear factor. Just history, the meaning, and the energy. And then, because it wouldn't be New Year's Eve without a little chaos, we're going to pull a special spread for the podcast to see what we're leaving behind, what's coming in, and what message the universe has for all of us in the year ahead. So grab your favorite mug, a cozy blanket, and your tarot deck if you have one, and let's see what the universe has been dying to say.
Okay, I got a blanket. I don't have a mug, but I got a wine glass, and
Same.
I did get a beautiful new tarot card deck, this is my 3rd tarot card deck, which is kinda funny to me that I don't know how to do anything with tarot, but, it spoke to me.
I love it.
It spoke to me, and I said, "It's beautiful, and I have to have it." So I got it.
Yeah. We love that. I have no blanket because I live in Florida, but I do have a glass of wine and I have 2 tarot decks nearby that are also brand new for me. One is a personal one that my therapist actually gave me the homework to buy a new deck because we're trying to work on trusting my intuition a little bit better.
Okay.
And we're doing that through tarot because I love my therapist and she is into all of that stuff. So it's great. And the deck that I had been using for a while very pretty, the artwork is very plain. So it's hard to look at the card and try to really interpret the meaning without using the guidebook. So that's why she
Mhm.
recommended I get something that has kind of speaks to me a little bit more and I can actually use some symbolism and try to interpret the cards while also learning the meaning. And then I got another deck because it was on sale. And this one is the one I used for the pool today. The images of the deck, which is called Spooky Cute Tarot. And the cards that we pulled today for our New Year's Eve spread will all be on social media. So if you want to go take a look at those, you can.
That's awesome. I'll probably have a lot of questions during this episode,
That's fair.
um,
I
because again,
I do want to preface that I am by no means an expert on tarot. I have been doing tarot for a few years now, but I always have to have my guidebook. And I learned a lot from doing research for this episode, but just know that I'm not an expert.
that's fine. You'll know more than I do.
That is true. So, we have some fun facts about tarot cards. So, the cards often contain a lot of hidden symbolism that most people will miss. Everything from hand positions to background colors to directions that people are facing is intentional in many traditional decks. Now, I do just want to say that there are so many versions of decks out there that this does not speak for all of them. But in traditional decks and in a lot of decks out there, people do hide a lot of subtle meaning that most people will miss unless they're really, really studying their cards.
Okay.
Second fact is the famous psychologist Carl Jung was fascinated by tarot cards. He believed the images in tarot reflected the collective unconsciousness and shared human symbolism, which I thought was really
Yeah,
cool.
that is cool.
Yeah. And some therapists, as I just said, use tarot as a narrative therapy tool. Tarot cards can help clients tell their story, identify patterns, and reframe experiences. The imagery gives clients a safe way to project thoughts and emotions into symbols instead of having to say everything directly.
My therapist today said that she does use tarot with clients if they feel it would be beneficial to them.
Yay.
I am unsure about that.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's always that's
Also, can I go on just a small ADHD? Just my eyebrows look really good today, and they often don't. So I just needed to point that out to you right here as we're in the middle of your episode,
mhm.
because, I have severe untreated ADHD.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm
I love you.
laughing only because you are currently very blurry and I cannot see your eyebrows. So, yeah, they look great, Kelly. They look like
Thank you.
blurry blobs on your face to me currently.
Alright, that's fair.
So, that's the great thing about at least my therapist, and it sounds like your therapist is gonna be similar, is she's very open to trying things and then but also very much like, if it doesn't work, like, she wants me to tell her. So, that's a sign of a good therapist of like, let's throw everything at the wall and see what sticks.
I told my last therapist something didn't work, and she said, "But I like to do it this way." And sh that's why she's no longer my therapist.
Yeah, I have thoughts on that one, but we're gonna get into the scary facts. Some decks are said to just feel off. Readers will sometimes report inheriting or owning decks that feel heavy, uncomfortable, or just wrong to use, even if there's nothing physically different about them. Many will refuse to work with these types of decks that just have strange energy.
Now, we may get to this later in the episode, and you can say we'll get to that later in the episode, but is there, like, a proper way to dispose of a deck?
I have no idea.
Okay,
I have never thrown away a tarot deck, so I could not tell you. Something I've literally never thought of.
okay.
I'm sure there probably is.
Like, if I had a deck that felt, like, off or strange
Yeah.
or dark, I wouldn't wanna keep it, but I would also wanna like, if the reason that deck is feeling that way must be because of energy of some sort,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I wanna make sure that if I'm removing this, I don't wanna give bad energy to somebody else.
Right.
Well, there's just a couple people I could, but I wouldn't because I'm a good person. But, like, I also wanna make sure that I am, like, closing that connection. Just me it
Yeah.
being in my presence and me feeling that energy being off, I need to make sure that's closed
Yeah, that's
properly.
fair. Well, if any of
Yeah.
you know how to properly dispose of a tarot deck, please let us know.
Please.
Yeah. Tarot can also call you out, sometimes pretty brutally. The cards don't sugarcoat, at least some decks won't. The reading can bring up uncomfortable truths that people don't want to face, blocked emotions, toxic patterns, self sabotage, which is sometimes more disturbing than predicting the future.
I love it. Bring it.
Yeah, my
I need
my
to know all the things.
yeah, my decks have definitely called me out in the past before.
So we have a challenge, like, we on for our patrons, we do, like, a our Discord page, we do, like, a challenge, and one of them was terror related, and it was about I don't remember the challenge, and my mind just went completely blank. Um, anyway, I started pulling a card from my territorial deck, which is a deck that teaches you how to read tarot,
Yes.
and I also had a professional, I don't know anything about this person, pull a card for me, and their interpretation of the card was that I need to jump in. And then I kept kind of getting that same message when I would pull these cards. Keep going, move forward, jump in. And then I was just thinking about that one day, and it dawned on me that I have a tendency to self sabotage. And a lot of times when I'm pulling these cards, I'm thinking about the podcast. And things are going really, really, really well with the podcast. And I think that these cards were telling me, don't be a dumbass, keep going. Because when I think about things getting better, I tend to get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Like, oh, and then I shut down and then I do something dumb. So I am going to listen to the cards.
Yeah. Fortunately, I won't let her do anything dumb when it comes to the podcast anyway. Her life I can't control.
I don't know. You get a heavy say, though. I will say
I
that.
do. I do. And our last scary fact is there are shadow focused decks, and they are intentionally unsettling. Some more modern decks are designed specifically for shadow work and trauma exploration, using disturbing or haunting imagery to bring buried emotions to the surface.
That sounds scary.
Yeah, I'm not ready for one of those.
I mean, I'm fine with being, like, called out with, like, toxic patterns and stuff, but, like, I don't know, like, trauma stuff,
Yeah.
that sounds kinda terrifying.
Yeah, just a little bit. So, we're going to dive into the origins of tarot cards. Tarot cards first appeared in 15th century Italy, long before they were associated with mysticism, fortune telling, or anything paranormal. At the time, they were known as tarocchi, and they were used as a special type of playing card.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Didn't know that at all.
No, I honestly did not know that prior to starting this research. The Cherokee deck was similar to standard playing cards, but a little bit more complex because it included a set of illustrated trump cards in addition to the four suits. These trump cards could overtake cards in a round, which is where the modern concept of tarot trump cards and what we now call the major arcana originally comes from. The decks were used for a trick taking card game, kind of similar to bridge or spades or hearts that is played nowadays. So it was a very strategic social game and it required planning and awareness. And there was no spiritual intention behind the cards at this point in time. But these early decks were handmade and hand painted, and often created by skilled artists for wealthy Italian families and royal courts. They were considered a luxury item and were often decorated with rich colors and detailed artwork. So the imagery at the time reflected medieval and Renaissance life and beliefs, including emperors, popes, knights, virtues like justice and temperance, and the symbolic figures like death and judgment. These images were not meant to predict the future. They represented familiar stories, moral lessons, and everyday themes of the time. So, simply put, tarot began as a mix of art, creativity, storytelling, and entertainment, not mysticism.
That's interesting. I had no idea that it had this.
Yeah, I didn't know that either at the before I started doing research. But by the 18th and 19th centuries, Europe was experiencing both scientific expansion and a growing fascination with the mysterious and unknown.
So, Jen, if you remember where you were before I decided to talk for 10 minutes about things that have nothing to do with this episode in the middle of the podcast, because again, severe untreated ADHD.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
don't remember where I was. So we're just gonna wild card it here and see what happens.
All
But
right.
in defense, you started the tangent, but I continued the tangent with other things
True.
that I realized I had to tell you. In occultism, esoteric knowledge, astrology, and secret societies grew, especially among artists, philosophers, and intellects. It was in this atmosphere that tarot began to be reinterpreted. Rather than simply a card game, occultists and mystics started to examine the images more closely and assign meaning to them. The cards became connected to divination, Kabbalah, which is the mystical interpretation of Hebrew scripture, and astrology. While these connections were powerful and meaningful on a symbolic level, many of them had no historical evidence to support the meanings. They were just kind of assigned. And in truth, these interpretations were based more off of just a spiritual belief, intuition, and romanticized ideas about the world rather than any kind of verifiable facts, which I think kind of just sums up tarot in a nutshell. Through books, lectures, and mystical writings, tarot was gradually reframed as a tool for divination, self discovery, and spiritual insight. Tarot was no longer just something people played, it became something that people interpreted.
And that's how we got to where we are today.
Yeah. But the moment that shaped modern tarot didn't come until 1909. And this is one of the most important developments in tarot history. And it took place with the creation of the Rider Waite Smith deck, which would go on to define the structure and visual language of modern tarot as most people know it today. It was commissioned by author Edward Waite and illustrated by artist Pamela Coleman Smith, whose art ended up defining tarot as most people recognize it today. Smith's work turned tarot into something entirely new. Rather than focusing only on abstract symbols or simple suit markers, she filled each card with imagery, emotional expression, and symbolic storytelling. For the first time, every single card, including the minor arcana, which we'll talk about more later, featured a detailed, illustrated scene instead of just simple suit symbols. This deck helped move tarot from occult circles into the mainstream and into the hands of everyday people, setting the foundation for how tarot is used today. The Rider Waite Smith deck did more than create beautiful art. It transformed tarot into a true symbolic system, one that told stories, conveyed emotion, and explored the human experience through powerful visual metaphors. It provided a shared framework that allowed tarot to expand beyond private occult circles and move to a much wider audience. Now, I am not a fan of the original Rider Waite Smith deck.
Okay.
Just my personal opinion. It doesn't speak to me on a spiritual level. I do have one because I was told that is the best deck to learn with, but I rarely use it because it just never really spoke to me.
I'd have to see it to know
Yeah.
if I've ever seen it before.
I personally think it's too busy. I'm
Hmm.
sure if I were to actually analyze each card, that's where you're gonna get a lot of those hidden meanings that come through, and that would be a fascinating thing to do one day, but I don't know, I look at it and there's just so much happening, it overwhelms me and I shut down.
Yeah.
So, that's just me. Okay, Kelly, what exactly is tarot?
I'm not gonna answer it because then when I answer, then you go, "That was a rhetorical question, Kelly."
You still after all of this time.
In short, it's
Thank you.
tarot.
Thank you. Oh, as many times as I do that, you think you would just know the response right away.
I have ADHD.
So do
I am
I.
not a very smart person.
Okay.
It takes me a while to catch up, okay?
Okay. Well, tarot is a tool for reflection, insight, and self exploration. It uses symbolism and imagery to help bring thoughts, emotions, patterns, and situations into clearer focus. At its core, tarot is a form of storytelling through archetypes. Each card represents a theme, emotion, experience, or stage of growth that humans go through. The images work like a mirror, often reflecting something that happens in the subconscious or the emotional world. Tarot is often used for personal reflections, journaling, intuition building, problem solving, creative inspiration, shadow work, emotional processing, or spiritual exploration. For many people, tarot is more of a guidance system, not a rule book. It doesn't tell you what must happen, it helps highlight options, patterns, and energy surrounding a situation.
It's interesting because it's one of those things where, let's say it's all bullshit. Like, there's no mysticism in the world, there's no nothing, right? But pulling the cards and looking at them and going on what they make you feel or think of, or that still in and of itself
Yeah.
can be so helpful that it doesn't even need the
Yeah,
mysticism behind it.
100%. And that's kind of what I've always said when it comes to tarot cards is there is this aspect to it where most of the time, not all the time, sometimes I pull a card and I'm like, "What the fuck was that?" Like, that makes 0 sense for what I'm and then
Mhm.
usually I'll just be like, "Okay, we're gonna try it again," and I put that card back in the deck, I shuffle it, and I pull another card. But most of the time, I feel like any card you pull, you can relate it to your situation or your question that you're asking it in some way. Sometimes it's a stretch, but I feel like you think what you need to hear in the moment. And that's why I love it because I feel like it uses that intuition, it uses that they make it so broad that you can assign meaning to it based on what's going on in your life.
Yeah.
So, what Tarot is not, because that's important. Tarot is
Oh,
not
okay.
a guaranteed prediction of the future. The future is constantly shifting based on choices, circumstances, and free will. Tarot is not a replacement for real world action, logic, mental health support, or medical advice. Tarot is not inherently evil or tied to negative forces, despite how it is sometimes portrayed in movies and pop culture. Tarot is also not a fixed answer machine. The same card, like we kind of just said, can have different meanings depending on context, intention, and the person that is interpreting it. And last, tarot is not about giving power away to the cards. The real power has always remained with the person that is using them. So think of tarot as a mirror, not a crystal ball. You can also think of it as a conversation starter with yourself, a visual journal, or a tool that just helps you ask better questions. The cards don't decide your path, they simply help you see it more clearly.
Okay, I got an idea, and
Okay.
if I wasn't as crazy as I am with the ADHD and I was able to actually, stick to something, I might even try this myself, but it would be wild to just every day shuffle your deck, pull your card, and spend 10 minutes writing in a journal about what you think about that card.
Yeah. A lot of people do that.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was a thing. I just reinvented the wheel, I
you
think,
did.
but, um, for me, it was like a brilliant realization. And
You
you're just
can
gonna have
do
to go
that.
with that.
One
Okay.
thing that I have been trying to do, and I'm not doing it daily as I want to, but I'll build up to it. I found a voice journaling app that I have on my iPad to where you can
Ooh,
talk into it
I
and it
like
will
it.
transcribe it. And then get this, Kelly, it comes up with reflection questions based on what you type.
Send that to me.
I will. It is
Um,
called for our listeners, it is called Untold. It was free on the Apple App Store. I cannot tell you if it's available on Android because I do not own an Android, but I highly recommend it. Um, I'm trying to get better at using it, but I love the reflection questions that it gives you
right,
once
and,
you.
like, even if you wanted to do this and you didn't like you're like, "I'm not really a journaler," or whatever,
Yeah,
you could pull a card and just write down 5 words that you think of. 5
absolutely.
first words that come to your mind when you're reflecting on that card.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm currently doing, because again, I'm trying to build up my intuition and I'm trying to rely less on my guidebook for tarot. I am trying to pull a card and then I record in my little journal app where I just talk through it. And I'm like, okay, so here's what this is the card I pulled. Here's what I'm seeing. Here's the vibes I'm getting from it. And then I have a couple of little cheat sheets that kind of just have some of the major themes, which we're going to get into, of like numbers and suits. And for the major arcana, we'll get into that too. And I then look at those themes and then I try to interpret it even more off of that. And I do all of that speaking into my little journal app. Then when I'm done my reading based on my intuition, I copy and paste that entire thing and I plop it into ChatGPT and then I say, "Here's my tarot pool. I'm trying to build my intuition. Walk me through the actual interpretation and how well my intuition was." And it has been really helpful to do that for me to learn the cards.
I mean, is if ChatGPT is a good source of, like, what AI can be wrong too,
It
so
can
just
be,
make
for sure.
sure.
I mean, I'm not making any like hard life decisions on this, Kelly. I'm trying to learn tarot. It's not the end of the world if it tells me something wrong, but it's been helping me, which is nice.
Yeah,
And at least my chat GPT is very complimentative. So when I get something right, my it compliments me and it's like, "Oh, your intuition was spot on. What a great job." And that just makes me
Mine
feel better about myself. So,
mine's like, "You what? You dumb son of a bitch." No,
okay,
it doesn't.
we're going to blah, 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 blah. Words are hard.
Bup, 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 bup.
We are going to get into the structure and just a high level overview of the tarot deck. So, standard deck, and this is all we're talking about standard decks, contains 78 cards. The deck is divided into two main sections: major arcana, which is 22 cards, and minor arcana, which is 56 cards. The sections work together to tell a complete story, from major life lessons to everyday experiences.
Okay.
So, for the major arcana, the key idea is that they represent big life themes and major spiritual or emotional lessons. They're often called the life journey cards. They represent the biggest themes in your life. So they're tied, as I said, major transitions, turning points, lessons that most people will experience at some point in their life. So rather than focusing on everyday situations, they speak to life changing moments, shifts in identity, deep emotional or spiritual growth, and pivotal choices that shape who we are and the direction that our lives take. When a major arcana card appears, it usually points to something significant that is happening beneath the surface. So, this could be a chapter in your life that's either beginning or ending, an internal transformation, or a powerful lesson that's just trying to get your attention. Then you have the minor arcana, and there are 56 of these. So these reflect the daily energy of life. They're the thoughts you have, the emotions you feel, the challenges you face, and the practical situations that you move through. So, where major arcana speaks to those life changing moments, the minor arcana focuses on those smaller, ongoing moments that make up your lived experiences. So these cards often reflect daily decisions, interpersonal dynamics, emotional reactions, or mental patterns. They're showing you what's happening in the present rather than a life defining turning point. Now, the minor arcana is divided into four suits, and each suit represents a different area of life. First, we have the wands. Now, wands are connected to the element of fire, and they represent inspiration, creativity, motivation, and personal drive. Think of it as fire is the spark. It's that energy that pushes you to begin, move, create, or change. This suit will often appear in moments of ambition, excitement, or the desire to take action towards something meaningful. Wands can also represent burnout, hesitation, or creative blocks when the fire is low or misdirected. So basically, wands represent the question: what do I want and what am I going to do about it?
I have something here. I see that your next part is about cups.
Hmm.
And I want to say before we started this episode, I thought about our friendship and I pulled this card from my deck, the 2 of Cups, upside down.
Okay.
And when I don't know what I didn't read what the cups say. I just saw that that's the next thing. When I look at this image of these 2 cups and it's kind of got
First question: do you generally do reversals?
I don't know what the hell I don't know. It was just upside down. I'm
Okay.
telling
So,
you what I thought of
okay, go
when
ahead.
I looked at this card. I don't know how to do it, but it's got the 2 cups and it's kinda got this, like, flowing, like, ethereal water coming down to 2 hands that are intertwined. Now the 2 hands are different colors, and I look at that as you and I from different generations,
Yeah.
right? Now, some of you probably don't know this, but Jen and I were really good friends, and then we went through a time where we did not speak.
Yeah,
And during that time, we were healing, and
yeah.
I see that kind of magical, ethereal, like, coming down as the healing flowing down, and then us being able to reconnect with each other, from a position of health and healing. That's how I look at that card, and that's what I think.
I love that. So, quick note, and I think I get into this later briefly, but I personally do not read reversals because for me, my brain can't comprehend that much. I need to start basic and move on. And that is a personal preference on whether or not anyone wants to read reversals. I choose
If
not
I
to.
if I did not read this as reversal, I would see that as you and I as coming from different places in life, coming together and pouring down the magic of our friendship and what we are able to create together
Yeah.
into those cups.
Either way,
But
I
I
love that.
I pulled it inverted, and that's what I thought of when I looked at it. So
Okay.
since you're about to talk about cups,
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck they're supposed to mean. So,
Okay. Cups are connected to the element of water, which represents emotions, intuition, relationships, and the subconscious.
nailed it.
Just like water, this suit can be calm and flowing or deep and overwhelming. Cups often appear when emotional experiences, relationships, or inner feelings are at the center of a situation. They can also point to sensitivity, emotional healing, or emotional confusion, depending on the card. Cups represent the question, how do I feel? And how is this affecting my choices?
When I say I fucking nailed it, I mean I fucking nailed it.
Well, we're going to get even
I'm
deeper
impressed with myself.
into the symbolism behind specific numbers. So then we'll even dive deeper into the two to see if that matches as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no intuition whatsoever about the actual number
Yeah.
2.
Well, you did.
Um,
It's still, you still interpreted the picture on the card. So that is still your intuition.
well, I guess the 2 cups and the water
Yeah.
coming down from each cup would be like my water and your water coming
Yes.
together in the hands that were
Yeah.
intertwined, but yeah.
Next, we have swords, and swords are connected to the element of air, which represents mind, communication, truth, and mental energy.
What's the difference between a sword and a wand? Oh, like a magic wand?
Yes.
Okay, duh, that was a dumb question.
Well,
I was
dumb
so
question.
fucking brilliant like 5 seconds ago, and then I go and pull that shit.
What is the difference between a sword and a wand? That's the question you literally just
Look,
asked,
look,
Kelly.
look, the universe can't let me be that brilliant all the time, okay?
Very true. And it had to put you back in your place real quick. I will say there are some decks that swap out to something similar. Like with the one deck I have instead of pentacles, which we'll get to next, it's is disc instead of pentacles, but it's still a circular object. So
I don't know what a pentacle is.
you don't know what a pentacle is?
I guess I don't. Like a
It's the
pentagram? That's a star. Oh, but it does have the circle around it, okay. Alright, sorry, I never really paid attention to the circle around it.
yeah,
Hmm.
yep. Okay, swords. They're connected to the element of air. It represents mind, communication, truth, and mental energy. This suit deals with thoughts, beliefs, and the way we communicate or process the world. Swords will often appear during periods of conflict, stress, difficult conversations, or big decisions. They can also represent clarity, honesty, and breakthrough moments when truth comes to the surface. Swords represent the question, what is the truth here and how am I thinking about it? And last, we have pentacles. Pentacles are connected to the element of earth, which represents the material world, stability, security, and long term growth. This suit focuses on money, work, health, home, and the physical environment. Pentacles will often appear when you're focused on building stability, improving your life, or working towards long term goals. They can also reflect concern around security, responsibility, or your physical well being. Pentacles represent the question, what am I building and how am I supporting myself in the physical world?
Okay. This
Then,
is fascinating to me. I love this episode.
me too. It was so fun to research. Then we have the court cards. Now, the court cards will represent people and energy. They represent the stages of growth and the way that your energy can show up in your life or someone else's life. So you have the page, which is generally associated with beginnings, curiosity, and new learning. You have the knight, which is action, pursuit, and movement. The queen is an inner power, emotional intelligence, and mastery. And the king is authority, leadership, and responsibility. Court cards can represent a person in your life, a version of yourself, or an energy that you're being asked to step into. Rather than specific events, court cards often describe personalities, mindsets, or roles within a situation.
That's interesting because I did also pull, just thinking about life in general, the King of Wands today.
Okay.
So I'm wondering what that could mean.
Yeah.
I didn't put as much thought into it because the one I pulled for us,
Yeah.
our friendship, was relevant to the episode.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So in tarot, the numbers on the card are not random. Each number from ace through 10 carries its own meaning because every suit follows the same numerical pattern. And that energy shows up in the four areas of life. So again, cups equal emotion, sword equals thoughts, wands equal action, and pentacles represent the physical world. So numerology will act as the backbone of the tarot system. The suit tells you where something is happening. The number tells you what stage of the journey you're in.
Okay.
So the major arcana also follows a numerical journey, and that journey is from 0 to 21, and it represents a full spiritual and personal journey, often called the fool's journey.
Okay.
So you have 0, which is the fool. That's kind of your beginning point. It means unlimited potential and a leap into the unknown. 1 through 6 is kind of when you're starting to form your identity. You're discovering your personal power, your intuition, relationships, and choices. 7 through 9 is inner development, self reflection, wisdom, and spiritual testing. 10 is the Wheel of Fortune, and that's kind of the turning point when change is happening or there's a new cycle. 11 through 14 represents balance, growth, healing, and alignment. 15 through 16 represent shadow work, attachment, and sudden awakening. 17 through 19 is hope, renewal, and clarity. 20, which is the judgment card, represents rebirth, realization, and calling. And 21, which is the world, is completion, fulfillment, and integration. So rather than representing random events, the major arcana shows a full cycle of a human experience from innocence through challenge and growth to wisdom and completion.
Well, the 2 doesn't make any sense for the 2 of cups for us, I don't think.
Well, that's not where the 2 comes in. That's major arcana.
Oh, the cups is minor.
Yes.
Okay.
So the numerology within the suits, so each number is going to carry the same type of energy across all four suits. So you have ace or 1 is new beginning and potential. 2 is balance, choices, and duality. So I'm sure that fits in there somehow.
Wait, is So 2 is balance, choices, and duality.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be the cups.
Yes.
I mean, we do have to have balance.
We do.
Um, I in our friendship, right?
Yes.
Our choices in our friendship affect other things.
Yeah, the podcast in
So the
general.
balance, yeah.
Yep.
Um,
And I
in
think
the duality, what
the
do you think?
duality is, I think kind of going back and forth between juggling being co-host and being best friends.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we can do a whole podcast thing, and then I can text her like I did today and tell her that I was so rageful.
Yeah.
Paranormal activity happened.
That she did. It happened.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 represents growth, expansion, and creation. 4 represents stability and structure. 5 represents conflict and change. 6, healing and harmony. 7, reflection and inner work. 8, strength and progress. 9, completion and wisdom. 10, ending and renewal. This is why tarot is a structured system and not just a collection of random images. It mirrors real life cycles of movement, struggle, growth, and transformation. So when I say these are key words, obviously each card has deeper meaning, and that meaning can also vary from deck to deck, but it's going to be similar if you have a standard tarot deck. But these key words kind of allow you to quickly get an idea about what each card is representing. So you kind of put together the number and the suit and make assumptions and use your intuition based on that.
Okay. I'm gonna have to make myself a handy dandy chart.
So it's funny that you should say that because
Okay.
I want to put something together to release with this episode.
Oh, awesome. Well, I will let you do that, and then I will use the fruits of your labor.
Yeah. So yeah, I will hopefully do that. I'm gonna commit to it now, and hopefully by the time this episode comes out in like a month, then I'll have that ready for you all. But if I don't,
Awesome.
you can yell at me.
Oh, I
Not
will.
you, but everyone else can too. Well,
Oh,
and you can
damn.
too. You'll yell at me no matter what. I don't need to give you permission to.
I won't yell at you. You do so much for the podcast that I'm unable to help with. I would never yell at you for not being able to do something
That's
like
fair.
that.
So, as we kind of touched on earlier with reversed cards, some readers choose to use reverse cards and others do not. So, when a card is reversed, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's something bad. It just shifts the energy or the meaning of the card in a different direction. So reversals generally tend to suggest that there's some type of blocked or limited energy. There's an internal struggle. Something is delayed, or there's something that's putting up resistance, or it could just be opposite or the hidden side of whatever situation you're talking about. Some readers will feel that reverse cards add an extra layer of depth and nuance to readings. Others prefer not to use them at all, like me, and instead just focus on the upright meanings and surrounding cards for context. There's no right or wrong way to practice this. It comes down to personal preference and whatever feels most intuitive to the reader.
Okay, so I didn't know it was an option to not,
Yes,
like
you do not
I
have
thought if
to.
the card came out reversed that was a
Nope.
reason it came reversed.
I tell my decks from the beginning when I first get them that I do not read reversals.
What do you mean you tell your decks?
I tell my deck that I don't read reversals.
We're supposed to be telling the deck
Yeah, I talk to
something?
my deck. Have you ever done
That's a
an
thing?
interview with your deck?
Clearly not. I didn't know you were supposed to talk to them.
So there are like new deck spreads that you can find that are like set up to kind of interview your deck. So it lets you know what the deck's strengths are, what its weaknesses are, and kind of helps you get a clearer idea of how the deck is going to work with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send you one.
I had no idea.
Yeah. That's
I'm
the
so
only
excited for you to send me the chart you're gonna make,
I'm gonna put
for the
together
app,
a
the journaling app.
I'm
I
I'm
want that.
committing to putting together a whole little thing to send
I
to
want
anyone who
I
wants
want you
it.
to I want you to text me that app tonight.
Oh, I will. That I can do, as long as you remind me, because I will forget. But I'm committing that to you that I want to put together a tool for tarot. So hopefully it'll be released with this episode. We'll probably set it up to where you might have to like give us your email address if you want to receive it. That way you can, stay connected with all things not my ghost, not my problem. But it will be free. So we won't like make you pay for it cuz
Yeah.
I'm just doing it for fun and to help myself. So I'm figuring if I'm going to make this for me, I might as well share it with all of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Tarot FAQ. So these are just some quick questions that people tend to ask about tarot cards. First question is, should you let other people touch your cards? The answer, some people prefer not to, believing that it can affect the energy of the deck. Others don't mind at all. And this is completely a personal choice, not a rule. If it feels fine to you, it is fine. My personal opinion is it depends on the person. There are some people that can touch my deck and some people that can't.
I remember when I got when we saw that one psychic Stacy, I think her name was, at Penhurst.
Mhm.
She had us like,
Yeah.
touch the deck, shuffle the deck to put our energy into it.
Yes. Do tarot cards need to be cleansed? Some readers like to cleanse their decks using methods like smoke, moonlight, crystals, or even just knocking on the deck to reset the energy. Others won't cleanse their deck at all. Again, it's based on personal belief, comfort, and your personal practice. For me, I will smoke cleanse a new deck when I get it. If I remember, I will leave it out in the full moon to charge. And I also, if I remember, do like to knock on the deck when I go to do a reading to kind of reset the energy.
Okay, I didn't know you were supposed to do that, so I'm just gonna say,
Again,
"Hey, new deck, be cool, be cool."
personal beliefs and your personal practice. There are really no rules, Kelly.
I just told it to be cool. That's the
Perfect.
rule.
Yeah.
Be cool.
Do you have to be psychic to use tarot? No. Tarot is more about intuition, reflection, and interpretation than psychic ability, and anyone can learn to use tarot for insight or exploration.
I kind of feel like psychic ability is about using intuition, reflection, and interpretation, though.
Kind of, yeah.
I guess it's just you tapping into a different part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what happens if I draw a bad card? Well, there are no bad cards, only bad owners. No.
And that is the dog training,
Yes.
the dog trainer
Thank
in Jen coming out.
I'm glad you got that because our listeners are probably like, what the fuck does that mean? So there are no bad cards. Even difficult cards like the Tower or Death usually represent necessary change, growth, or release, and not a literal disaster. Tarot is about transformation, not about punishment. How do you choose your first tarot deck? This is my favorite because there's a lot of conflicting beliefs on this one. So, a lot of people will say that you are not supposed to buy your first tarot deck and that it has to be gifted to you. This is a popular tradition, but it's a belief, not a universal rule.
I'm sorry, but Ellie is just behind you like,
I
"Hey, are
know.
you done yet? It's time
She
for my
is.
greenie."
She is. So it's a belief, not a universal rule. Many people absolutely do buy their own first deck and it works just fine for them. I am an example. I bought my first deck.
I bought my first deck too, but it was the territorial deck just
Yeah.
to learn.
Then I did give you
But
one for was it your birthday this
yes,
year? Yeah, that
yes.
way you could be gifted one, but it's not a
Mhm.
requirement. Most important, when you choose a deck, you just should choose something that you are feel connected to and that you're comfortable with. And our last question is, what is the difference between tarot cards and oracle cards? Tarot follows a structured system of 78 cards with shared meanings, suits, and archetypes, while oracle decks are freeform and theme based with no set number or any type of universal structure. Tarot tends to offer more depth and detail, while oracle is more intuitive and open ended. Neither is better, they're just different and they offer a different type of insight. Basically, tarot's a system, oracle's a vibe.
Do you have an oracle deck?
I do. I don't use it
Hmm,
though.
hmm. I didn't even know there was such a thing as an oracle deck.
Yeah. Okay. Now that we've covered tarot and how it works, it is time to step into our New Year's tarot spread. So this is a collective pool for the podcast, and our spooky little community that we have built together.
Are we pulling them together now?
No, I already pulled them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I wasn't about to try to interpret them live. Like I pulled them, interpreted it,
But we're
and
not
wrote,
live.
well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Y'all don't need to hear my thought process. I did this in the privacy of my own home and I wrote it all down for you. So last year, if you remember, if you've been with us since last year or you listened, we read our horoscope on our New Year's Eve episode. So I figured we would kind of keep up that tradition with
Yeah.
predictions for the future.
Okay.
So the first question I asked is, what is our individual greatest creative strength going into the new year? And I pulled two cards for this, one for me and one for Kelly.
Okay.
I got the Chariot, which says your greatest creative strength going into the new year is control, direction, and follow through. I
That
guess
is you, though.
I guess it's telling me I do need to put together the tarot cheat sheet for you because I have to follow through.
That is typically you,
It
though.
is.
It is very you do that for the
I
podcast.
do.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the chariot isn't just about movement, it's about intentional movement. It's the ability to take two very different energies, ideas, emotion, chaos, doubt, life, work, the podcast, and force them all into the same direction. And that's really hard, but apparently it's my superpower. So for the podcast, this means that I'm the one who keeps things going when motivation dips. I'm the one who turns ideas into actual plans. I push projects across the finish line, and I keep the vision focused when things get messy or overwhelming.
100%. Listen, my cousin, who is like a sister to me, my cousin Kim, she used to say that I was the idea person. I was an idea person with very little follow through.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, yeah,
So, my creative strength is not just being inspired, it's being determined enough to make it real. The chariot is literally telling me I don't just dream the thing, I drive the thing. And that's exactly what this show needs going into 2026.
I love it. I think it's spot on.
You ready for yours?
Sure.
Okay, don't freak out.
Oh, God.
For Kelly, I pulled death.
Of course you did.
But
Good night, everyone.
before anyone panics, the death card does not actually mean death. In tarot, death is about transformation, endings, and rebirth. And in this position, that is extremely powerful. Kelly's greatest creative strength going into the new year is her ability to shed what no longer fits and step into something entirely new. She's not afraid to let old versions of things die so something better can take their place. And that's a huge creative superpower.
Okay.
For the podcast, this looks like letting
I
go.
just have to say it. I just have to say it. You pulled cards for me and you got the Fool and Death. And I just have to say, that's fucking brilliant. Proceed.
Okay. So for the podcast, this looks like letting go of outdated ideas or formats, leaning in to a new version of herself, saying, okay, this doesn't fit anymore. Let's evolve it. And being willing to start fresh, even when it's uncomfortable. Kelly's creative strength isn't just about having ideas, it's about having the courage to end what no longer fits and make space for what is next. The death card isn't destructive for the sake of destruction, it's transformation with purpose. That kind of energy is rare, and it's exactly what this show needs going into 2026. Not just movement forward, but full intentional rebirth.
Well,
And
thank God I got you to do all the work.
I want to comment on this because Kelly is the one who decided that we were going to invite Joel on for every paranormal postcards episode.
True.
That
True.
did not even cross my mind. I thought it was going to be a one and done. Kelly is the one that is trying to line up guests for us to have on the podcast.
And
When
that's not
again,
something we typically do. Not
yeah,
typically.
not
Yeah.
typically. It hasn't in the past, but we're trying to line that up and go in that direction. So you do come up with those types of ideas.
All right. If I
Yeah,
drop dead tomorrow, though, people, y'all know
you would
why.
all know. So, together, these two cards paint a really clear picture of where the podcast is headed next. The Chariot is all about direction, determination, and choosing a path forward with confidence, while Death is about necessary endings, deep transformation, and rebirth. That means this next season of the podcast isn't just about doing more, it's about doing things differently, more intentionally, and more authentically. One of us is driving the vision forward, and the other is helping to clear the way of what no longer fits so something stronger can take its place. This isn't just growth for the show, it's evolution.
I like evolution.
And that's a recurring theme throughout the rest of this pool. Next question was, what do we need to leave behind in 2025? So when I asked this question, two cards jumped out at the deck at me while I was shuffling. So I don't know if you do this, Kelly, but when I shuffle, if I'm shuffling and any card like ever falls out or like doesn't fit back into the shuffle or just kind of stands out to me, that's the card I pull. So in this case, there were two cards at the same time. So I picked both of them. I did not intend to pick two cards, but I think it worked really well.
Okay.
So these two cards were the Tower and the Star. And together, they tell a very specific story. The Tower represents sudden change, structures collapsing, and the kind of movement where everything you thought was solid gets shaken. It's the energy of things falling apart, but usually because they were built on shaky ground to begin with. So that tells me that we need to, again, kind of falling in line with what your card was, we need to shake things up. And the shaky ground that things were built on was us having no idea what the fuck we're doing when we started this podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
So this card is asking us to leave behind anything in 2025 that was built out of fear, doubt, burnout, or the need to prove ourselves. The pressure, the chaos, the false foundations, the we have to do it this way mindset. But what makes this pool beautiful instead of scary is the second card that jumped out, which was the star. The star is hope, clarity, healing, and renewal. It's the calm that comes after the storm. It's the reminder that after everything falls apart, something softer, truer, and more aligned can take its place. Together, these cards are saying, leave the chaos in 2025. I don't think we could fully leave the chaos in 2025,
I mean,
but
we are the chaos.
we
What are you
are
talking
exactly.
about?
But don't forget the hope it created. Let the old version of us, old fears, old limitations fall away and walk into 2026 with honesty, healing, and a clearer sense of who we actually are.
I like it.
Me too. What must we do to grow in 2026? And I pulled the sun. And this is one of the most positive cards in the entire deck. And for this question, it is giving us a really powerful and honestly simple answer. We need to show up as ourselves out loud without apology.
I think we do that, don't we?
I think we do mostly, but I think we could probably do it more.
Okay.
So the sun is joy, it's confidence, it's visibility, it's warmth. It's choosing authenticity over fear and play over pressure. To grow in 2026, we're being asked to lean into what makes this show fun, honest, chaotic, and real, and to stop dimming our light just to stay comfortable or small. The card says that growth doesn't come from hiding, it comes from being seen, from letting people know us, from laughing more, sharing more, creating more, and trusting that the right people will find us in the light. Basically, the more us we are, the more we grow. And for me, this really spoke to me because as someone who has been recently diagnosed autistic, I am trying to unlearn a lot of behaviors that I have masked myself to fit into society and try to be more authentically myself. So I feel like that's really where this energy is coming from. Is I've always told Kelly, I've always joked that, especially when I'm on the dating apps, I always, tell guys that I'm talking to or women that I'm talking to that my podcast name, and some people think I'm crazy for like just starting to talk to somebody and telling them my podcast so they could go listen. And I'm like, honestly though, because I record with Kelly, me on this podcast is probably the closest to me being fully unmasked that most people will ever see because I'm so comfortable with Kelly that it just makes sense for people to go listen. And that's how they'll get an idea of who I really am.
And personally speaking, unmasked Jen is my favorite Jen because unmasked Jen is Jen.
Yeah.
And that is my best friend and who I love.
Yeah. I love unmasked
Now,
Kelly too.
I don't mask. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think Jen sees more in me than I see in myself.
Mhm.
So maybe that is what my takeaway needs
Yes.
to be from it.
Yes. The next question is, what is our biggest collective weakness or blind spot? And
Ooh, that's a good one.
I pulled the Hermit. And the Hermit is all about going inward, reflection, solitude, and searching for answers within. But in the position of weakness or blind spot, it's revealing something important. Our biggest challenge isn't lack of ability, except maybe on Kelly's part, or creativity. That was a nod to the technical aspect of the podcast, not the hosting podcast. So it's not about
It's okay.
lack of
If anybody thought for a second I was gonna be offended by
yeah,
that, they don't know us.
yeah. So it's not about lack of ability or creativity. It's the tendency to isolate, to overthink, to sit on ideas instead of sharing them, to assume we have to figure everything out alone before we put it out into the world. And I didn't take this as us not sharing with each other. I took this as overthinking new ideas and not putting them out to our ghosty community to just see how it's received.
Like, give me an example.
I mean, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I think I was basically just saying that it's not like we will throw any idea at each other and see how each other feels about that idea. I don't think that's the problem. I think it
I don't always do that, though. I have ideas that I then deem myself as stupid and then never share with you.
okay, well, I guess if we're
And
being
it's not
completely
anything
honest, so do I.
it's not anything against you. It's that I judge my own thoughts as just dumb or convince myself that you're gonna think it's stupid. Again, none of this has anything to do with you.
Oh,
It's
I
my
know.
own crap. It's my own crap in my brain. So I
Okay.
don't always share with you my ideas
Well,
on
as we
everything.
learned
And
earlier,
sometimes yes,
you're
finish sentence.
you need to have those ideas. That's your strength going into 2026.
Right, but I also want to acknowledge that I do have dumb ideas
I
too.
mean, oh,
Like,
absolutely.
it's like, I do and say a lot of dumb shit.
You for
So,
sure,
but
100%. And if you give me a dumb idea, I'm gonna say, "Kelly, that's dumb." And you're gonna be like, "Yeah, I thought it was dumb, but"
exactly.
but you could be like, "It might be dumb," and I could be like, "Well, with this one minor tweak, maybe it could be amazing."
Right.
That's where we need to get better.
That's me trusting myself though,
Yeah.
not,
Oh, I know.
you know,
I'm the same. I've definitely withheld ideas from you,
yeah.
but I also think sometimes we're afraid to jump in. Like, I know in the very beginning, we were very much like, "This is our podcast. We don't have to follow any rules. We can do whatever the fuck we
Mhm.
want." And I think most of the time we do that, but sometimes we don't. Like, technically, this whole episode has nothing to do with paranormal. It is very witchy. It's about tarot and intuition, and it's loosely related, but I don't give a fuck. I wanted to do an episode on tarot, and if any of our ghosties are listening and are like, "Yeah, this isn't my thing," skip it. Okay, cool.
Okay, okay, okay. I'm gonna take the advice of the cards and I'm
Yeah.
going to say that I would like to expand into some true crime stuff.
Perfect. I love true crime.
Awesome. Ghosties, what do you think?
Yeah. Awesome.
Because I felt like I couldn't do true crime because it's not paranormal,
Yeah.
but I also really like that kind of stuff. So,
So I look at it this way, Morbid, which we all know Morbid, is a true crime podcast, but they also dabble in the paranormal. So we are a paranormal podcast that can also dabble in true crime if we really want to.
okay, well, there's my dumb idea that I didn't
Perfect.
think would
I
be
don't think it's
fitting.
dumb. I think it's great.
Awesome. See, look at that. See how well we work together.
We do. Real time collaboration. So, the hermit is a blind spot and it warns us about hiding, about getting stuck in our heads, about waiting for the perfect moment instead of moving forward in real time like we just fucking did. Shows a habit of pulling back when we should be reaching out for help, for collaboration, and for connection, which that told me even more so we need to be more into the collaborating with other people, having guests and some of the other podcasts that we partner with at the Creators Collective and all of that too. In other words,
I'm all for that too, because like the other people in this community that do the same types
yeah,
of like, I don't view them as my competition at
no,
all. I view them as brilliant,
absolutely.
brilliant creators that bring a different side of this to what we all do. And I want to share them with our ghosties.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree
Yeah.
100%. In other words, our blind spot is thinking we're meant to walk this path alone, when in reality, magic is in the community.
Uh, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
100%. What is our biggest collective opportunity? And I pulled the Four of Wands. And this is also a very positive and community centered card. And for this question, it was very clear our biggest opportunity is our community. This card represents celebration, connection, safety, and a sense of home. For the podcast, that translates into the space that we've created: the ghosties, the inside jokes, the shared chaos, the feeling that this isn't just a show, it's a place people belong. Our opportunity in 2026 is to lean into that even more, to build, to honor, and to celebrate it, to turn this podcast from something that people just listen to into something that they feel a part of. The Four of Wands says the magic isn't just in the stories we tell, it's in the people who are standing around the bonfire with us, which I love because I love our community. And I know it's
I do
small,
too.
but it is mighty. And from our patrons to just some of our other avid listeners, I mean, we both have Discord chats going with Birdie. Hi, Birdie.
Hi,
Um,
Birdie.
where we'll just randomly message her, and she is going to be a guest in the near
She
future.
is. I just told Jen the other day
Yep.
that we have to get Birdie on the podcast because I think Birdie is wonderful and knowledgeable
Yes.
and just a hoot, man.
I love her. And I think you all, I mean, you all are probably already love her because you've heard so many of her stories, but I
Right.
think you guys are going to love her even more when we have her as a guest.
I agree.
Um, and I mean, even like, some of our other loyal listeners, like we have Nicole, hi Nicole, who will send me a
Hi.
random message on Instagram about Robert Irwin on Dancing with the Stars, which by the way, the finale is tonight. So you know when we're recording this. So hopefully Robert wins. Fingers crossed.
I heard that he sustained an injury.
Oh no.
Yeah. So that might be a problem, but
You just broke my heart, Kelly. Anyway, yeah, so just the fact that we have those loyal listeners already, and I love that, and I want to lean more into that.
yeah,
And the last question is, what intention should we and our ghosties carry into the next year? So this is about you guys as well. And I pulled the Page of Sword, which is all about curiosity, awareness, and asking better questions. It's the energy of observing, learning, and staying mentally awake. For us and our ghosties, this card is asking us to move into the new year with a curious mind instead of a closed one, to question what no longer makes sense, to seek truth without fear, and to stay open to perspectives we haven't considered yet. The page is young energy, not in an immature way, but in a fresh way. It's the intention of saying, I don't know everything yet, but I'm excited to keep learning. So, the intention we're carrying into the new year together is this: stay curious, stay perceptive, stay willing to listen, question, and grow. Not everything needs an immediate answer. Sometimes the magic is in the search for truth itself.
I love that.
Me too.
Yeah.
So, this spread paints a really clear picture of what's ahead for us in the podcast. We're going into the new year with a powerful forward momentum and a deep transformation. We're stepping into joy, visibility, and authenticity. Growth in 2026 will come from being brighter, more honest, more us, and letting ourselves be seen. The real magic is in connection with each other and with our ghosties. And the intention we're carrying forward together is simple but powerful. Stay curious, stay open, and ask better questions, and never stop learning. This isn't just a new year, it's a new chapter, and we're stepping into it together.
I love it.
Me too. And that brings us to the end of this episode about tarot, intuition, and stepping into a brand new year. And to our ghosties, thank you for another incredible year of listening, supporting, and sharing your stories, and being part of this strange, spooky community that we've built. Whether you've been here since the beginning, hi, Danny, or you just found us, we are so grateful for you. As we step into a new year, we hope that you carry curiosity, courage, little bit of magic with you, and maybe even a tarot deck in your bag. From our haunted heart to yours, Happy New Year, ghosties.
If you love what you heard, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen. Your support helps us reach more listeners and share even more spooky stories.
And follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Not My Ghost Podcast and on Facebook at Not My Ghost, Not My Problem, where we post updates, photos, and more. And also make sure that you have subscribed to our YouTube channel because starting next week, every episode will be fully on video.
And please, please give us time to adjust to that.
Please, please do, because it's going to be not so great for a little bit, probably.
I'm not happy with my face. And it takes a lot for me to put my face out there.
Kelly,
So
Kelly,
it does nothing to do with how other people perceive it.
you're
It's how
gorgeous.
I feel.
I
Thank
know,
you.
but you're
But
gorgeous.
I have to deal with my own struggles.
You do.
So,
At least you
but
don't have to edit the episodes and stare at your
I
own
am,
face for hours on end.
but I am jumping in and
You
I'm
are.
taking that leap
Yes.
by agreeing to do it.
Yep.
So,
That we are. That's another thing
yep.
we're doing completely different that we've never done before starting 2026.
If you want even more ghostly content, consider joining our Patreon at patreon.com/notmyghost, not my problem. We have some fantastic exclusive perks for our supporters.
We do. And if you really want to be a part of the full blown ghosty community, you should join our Patreon because that's where you get the most
Please.
interaction with us.
Yeah. And if you've ever had a spine-tingling paranormal encounter, please share your story with us at notmyghostpodcast@gmail.com. And you might hear it featured on a future episode. And people, Joel is coming back, coming back, coming back. And you want your stories read
Yeah.
with Joel reacting to
You
them.
absolutely do because his reactions are great. And as long as right now, this is our plan for 2026. And as long as you keep sending us your stories, we're hoping to have a paranormal postcards episode every month.
Fingers crossed.
Keep sending us your stories.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us on this mystical journey through the history and meaning of tarot. Remember, as you ring in the new year and dramatically overanalyze your own spread, keep this in mind.
If it's not your ghost,
It's not your problem.
until next time, stay spooky.
And stay skeptical.